Hello, this is Dale with Action for Children, and today I'm going to be going through the attendance summary form. So, this is the form that throughout the years for the RISE scholarship has been required at the beginning of each month in order to schedule payment for your child. So, we're going to go through the entire form, the section that is completed by the child care, followed by the section that is completed by the parent, and then we'll talk about some timelines for completing this. So, again, this is the form that gets completed monthly. It gets done at the beginning of the month and it starts with the child care. Once the child care has completed their part, a second section is sent to the parent in most cases. So we will go through this here with just a practice form. So what should happen on this form is when you put in your license number as the child care provider, your program's name and your email is going to populate. From there, if it doesn't populate, if it says NA, no match, anything like that, reach out to us. Make sure you're typing that license number in correctly because that is how we match in our system. Um, but if it continues to say no match, please just reach out to us at risehelp, RISEHELP at actionforchildren.org. But once you put this in, you will put in your zip code. And all of the children that are currently on the RISE scholarship should populate. In this case, we've just got some practice children. And what we will need to put in is the teacher's name, the number of days present, and the number of days scheduled to attend, as well as the month/year. Now, this is where this is always a common problem with these forms. So please remember that we are giving last month's attendance and a confirmation of current enrollment. So, as an example, at the beginning of January 2026, the form that we will ask for will have December attendance, so the last month's attendance. So we will put 12 2025. Now, on the next pages, when we go to the individual child, we will confirm that the child is still currently enrolled. But for the attendance part, we are giving last month's attendance to be paid for the current month. Another way of thinking of that, let's say that you are in the beginning of June and you're trying to be paid for the month of June. What you'll give us is May's attendance, 05-2026. And then that will allow us to schedule June's payment. So we will put in that month. This is assuming that we are going to be paid for January 2026. So we put in last month's attendance. We put in the teacher name. Now, this is another place where please only put in teacher alphabet characters. Dashes, hyphens, apostrophes, commas, all of those will make it so that the system doesn't load the next page properly. So if there are multiple teachers, just put one space the other, or just put one teacher's name. But if there are any hyphens, dashes, commas, please remove those so that the form can load. So we will just say test teacher. And so number of days present versus number of days scheduled to attend. We will say that the first child, Tina, was there for 5 days of 6 that she was scheduled to attend. We're just going to put the same test teacher for all of them. Jean, we will say 15 days of 16. Now remember, this is not the number of days in the month. This is the number of days you expected the child to be there. So if a child is there, say test teacher, if the child was expected to be there 20 days, then that's what we put for 20. We're never putting the full month unless they were expected to be there every day of that month. And we'll say that this child was there 19 days. So what that's going to give us, the overall class attendance, which will populate automatically. Similarly, the monthly attendance for each child will populate automatically. Typically, what we're looking for is 90% attendance. However, we know that there's transportation issues, health issues. It's not a situation where if you fall below 90% for one child 1 month, there's going to be any issues. It's really if there's a consistent pattern of a child falling below 90% for multiple months. So we might reach out to the family, try and see if we can offer referral services. But removing the scholarship would never be the first kind of the first next steps from falling below 90%. So this is where the form has changed a little bit. It develops a little bit each year, but this year we are combining what last year was the equity form into this page. So at the beginning of this page, all of this information is specific to your RISE children. As a childcare provider, when we get to this section, you are answering for your entire childcare program. So it's no longer RISE specific. So we'll put these in and we can see here this includes non-RISE children. How many total children were enrolled in your program? We'll say 20. Maybe there were 25 spots in your program, and for whatever reason, we have 2 children on your waiting list. We'll keep going. We had 4 on staff, maybe 1 left their position, another one came in, and then we need the number of severe behavioral challenges that occurred. We'll say for this month it was 5. And remember, we are answering for this attendance month. So we are saying for December of 2025, even though this form is for January payment, we are answering all this information for December, the last full month. So we can put anything here. We'll say 2 children and 1 family received a referral. There's this other option. And then we have these where you can include any other wins from your reported month. Again, remember reported month, the last month. And then additional comments or feedback. You'll put in your name, sign it. It'll auto load that signature date. And we're done with the page that is for all children. Now we are moving to the individual child pages. So this is where we are moving from last month. So we're no longer talking about December's attendance. Now we are talking about, is the child currently enrolled in the program? So for Tina, we can say, yes, the child was enrolled. And what we are going to do is review the next student. Everything else should be populated. If anything isn't, you can feel free to input the information. But most of this should be input correctly. We'll review. This page is a middle page between the children, so you have to click this next link. It'll take you to the following page. So we're on to our second child. For Jean, let's say that is the child currently enrolled? We'll say no. Now, when we say no, we need to give a reason why. Even if it's unknown, but the child has stopped attending, you can put that. Then we will review the next child. And this is where the parent sections come into play. If you say yes, the child is still enrolled, then it is going to send a second page to the parent to also confirm that. If you say no, the child is no longer enrolled, it does not send the parent a second email to confirm it. It just comes to us for processing. So remember that for this form to be completed, your section needs to be done. And if you say yes, the child is enrolled, the parent needs to do the same. All right, we'll proceed to the last child. Say yes, this child was enrolled, and complete. And the way that you will know if you are done with this form is if you click the link, it's going to take you back to the Action for Children page instead of taking you to the next child. So now we are moving into the parent section of the application. So the childcare has done their part. They said that 2 children were enrolled. We're only going to do the parent section for one of them, but they tell us that the children were enrolled. One was not. So 2 of those parents are going to get an email. The last one, it was Jean. Their parent will not get an email because the childcare confirmed the child was no longer enrolled. So this is the email that the parent is going to get. It's going to say that your provider has completed the required attendance for the child name, and it's going to ask the parent to complete this form. So the parent will click on the form, and it will open up this page. So this is the parent section, so the second half of the application. So for Tina, what you will see is that there's an option to put in any issues with attendance. So this is kind of where, if there are patterns of falling below 90% attendance, it's the parent's opportunity to explain what those difficulties were. So maybe there were transportation difficulties, and we can put other if it hasn't been captured by one of these options, or you can say no challenges experienced. And then we need the parent to confirm, is the child currently enrolled? So at this point, as the parent, you are telling us, is the child enrolled at the moment for the current month? We've already gotten the attendance information from the child care, so the previous month's attendance. Now we want to know, is the child still enrolled as of this month? So we will say yes. And if we were to say no, it would ask us for this dropdown the same way. If the provider said no, it would ask us to explain the reason for it. So we will say yes, and then move down to the signature section. Now, this, a lot of parents have gotten tripped up. So what we will see is that you cannot click this. You cannot wet sign this section. Instead, you should click sign this section, put in your email, put in your name, verify and sign. After that, you'll see the section that had last month's attendance information. This part is not editable because this is what the child care has given us. For the parent, you are just telling us, is the child currently enrolled? If not, what is the reason? And are there any transportation difficulties? From there, you sign it, go down to the bottom, finish. If you were to click proceed, remember this is just for the individual child. It's not going to go back to anybody because there's only one child. Now, if you are a parent for multiple children, you'll get multiple emails, each one with a link to that specific child. So after this, it's done. It comes to us for processing. Let's just talk about timelines a little bit. At the beginning of the month, typically first, second, usually the first Monday of the month, um, we will send out a reminder to the child care to complete this attendance equity form. They need to complete the first part, which again is last month's attendance, those equity questions for the entire child care, and then the confirmation for each individual child of if they are currently enrolled. Once that part is done, if they say yes, the child is enrolled, it will get sent to the parents to complete their portion. For this form to be considered complete, all sections need to be done, and when they are done, it's going to come to us for processing. In order for us to make payments on the Friday of the third full week each month, that's always our payment processing date, we need this form to be completed by the Friday of the second full week. Usually it's the second Friday of the month, and we will send out those reminders. But just know that if this form is not completed by the childcare and the parent by that second Friday, it doesn't give us time to schedule payments, meaning the payment may be delayed till the following month. If we get to 6 weeks, so at the beginning of January, if the form isn't completed by either the childcare or the parent, by the second week in February, so 6 weeks out from that, the payment will be forfeit. So this is where we do want child carers and parents working closely together, keeping in communication about when the form is completed, making sure everything's done, and reaching out to us, Action for, if there are any questions. So to summarize, this form, this attendance/equity form, is a combination of what was two forms last year. It starts with the childcare. They will go to actionforchildren.org under RISE, under childcare programs, and they can see this tutorial video as well as the actual form link. The form link will also be sent out in the monthly reminders that go out at the beginning of the month. The big summary pieces for it are that the provider starts by giving us last month's attendance. So at the beginning of January, we want December attendance. At the beginning of February, we want January attendance. And then they go to the individual child page where they confirm if each child is still enrolled. Once that is done, the section for the parents will be sent to them, assuming the child is still enrolled, and the parent will complete it. After that, it comes to us for processing. We need it by the second Friday of the month in order to make payments by that following Friday, the Friday of the third full week in the month. Again, if there are delays, payment might be delayed until the following month. If there is more than a 6-week delay, that payment for a specific month may be forfeited. Last piece to remember, that even though we are asking for last month's attendance, the payment is for the current month. So using January again as the example, at the beginning of January, you give us December attendance information, confirm each child is still enrolled, but that payment in January is for the month of January. It's not something where we are back paying. We're always paying for the current month that we are in. So any questions from either the childcare or the parent side, please reach out to us at RiseHelp, RiseHelp at actionforchildren.org. Feel free to review this video, reach out to us if there are any questions, and please just keep on top of these forms as we get into the season, especially with transfers, children moving, childcare providers, parents. Please just keep in close communication with each other, making sure that we can get these forms completed at the right childcare each month so that we can get payments scheduled for you. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.